2, 1. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. I am your host, Baruti Carl Alexander. Thank everybody for joining us today. We appreciate it. We're going to have a very important show, a powerful show, building a spiritual circle. Very important. The driving force of my life is, how can I have a deeper, stronger, better spiritual connection? I'm a spiritual person, and those people who know me know that I feel deeply about things, and it affects my spirit and everything. When things are difficult, it snaps me one way, and then when things are exciting, it snaps me another way. I'm trying to work in that spiritual circle to try to be more even keel, but at the same time, allow that powerful spirit to continue to manifest. So we're going to talk about a lot of these things. I have 3 beautiful guests. One of them is only going to be with us by audio, but we have 3 beautiful guests, and I would like to introduce them and talk to them. Sister Chi, are you available?
Yes, I am available.
Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself? Show yourself to the audience and introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Chi. I'm a certified matchmaker and dating specialist. This is all very new to me, so I'm excited to be a part of the conversation and dive into some dialogue. So thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. We appreciate it very much. Sister Johna Renee, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I am Johna Hill, and I have a background in human services. I'm also an author of a couple of published work, as well as a consultant. So I have been enjoying life right now, newly married, and excited to be here with you all and talk about this spiritual circle. So thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Sister Ife, I know you have some things going on, but if you would share by audio, if it's okay, just say hi, how you doing, and whatever you would like to share with our audience.
Hey guys, this is Ife Mensa, also by the name of Earth Waters with Howling at the Earth, poet, author, a little bit of everything. So it's my first time with joining Brother Baruti with the Spirit Circle. So I'm also glad to be here.
We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody. Excuse me. Let me get my words right. Let me get flowing. It takes a while to get the spirit flowing. You all bear with me. But if you've been with me before, you've seen me a while, I'll get going and you can't stop me. And that's what the spirit circle is about. It's about building that energy. It's about building a situation where people can bring out their best. That doesn't just happen by mistake. It just doesn't happen just naturally. Some people say you have to surround yourself with a certain kind of person, a certain kind of people, that you can't have too many negatives come in. But what if you have a negative in your immediate circle, your brother, your sister, that sometimes brings you negative vibe, and you can't not just get away from them. You may have to be around them. You have to interact with them. These are the type of things we're talking about. I've written extensively on it. I wrote a poem called Let's Create a Spirit Circle. I'm not going to go through it now. I'll take the time to go through it now. I've also I'm working on a chart. I'm working on a way to try to define what I'm talking about with a spirit circle. Johna Renee, when you hear that term spirit circle, what do you think of? What do you envision?
When I think of a spirit circle, I envision spiritual counterparts, confidants, people who are individuals who may not necessarily tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. People who will keep you spiritually accountable. I know some years back in my prayer time, I was praying to God, asking Him specifically in my relationships. And one of the things that He downloaded in my spirit to pray for, which was righteous relationships. So that's been a continuous prayer of mine, is righteous relationships, and praying for people where it's iron sharpens iron, where I can grow as an individual, I can grow in my spiritual walk. But it's not just a one-way street, it's a two-way street where it's not just me growing, it's other individuals that are growing from this relationship, this mutual relationship. So when I think about spirit circle, I think about the people in my life who are spiritually accountable for holding me, helping hold me spiritually accountable to the things that I say I want to do, to the things and the calling that God has called over my life, and vice versa. So that is what I think of when I think of a spiritual circle.
I understand. Let me ask you a question. Are there family members that you are close to, and then there are some that you're not as close to?
Absolutely. I don't think that just because we share the same blood, that that means that we are alike in many ways, because you could be related to somebody and not be equally yoked. That's not to say that you don't love them. That's not to say that they're still not family. That's not to say that you're not going to go out your way for your family. But when it comes to a spiritual circle, I think you have to be really particular on who you have in that circle. It could be family, it could be friends, it can be a gambit of people, it could be a mentor. But that's what I think of. But I absolutely have family that I'm close to, and I do have some family that over time we have grown apart, and simply because people change and people grow, and you may have once been tight and really, really close, but you find yourself going in different directions, and that's completely fine. It's just accepting that. That doesn't mean that you don't love your family. It doesn't mean that you don't love them at all. It just means that we're in two different spaces in life right now.
The evolution and the journey of life takes many turns, takes many different ways. Sister Chi, the term spirit circle, what do you feel? You come from a background of a matchmaker, certified matchmaker. What do you, with that in mind, when you hear that term, what do you sense? What do you envision?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, just people that add positivity to my spirit, that can help keep me guided, people that I can turn to in times of need, if I need more nourishment in terms of my walk of life, or just people that can lift me up when things aren't as ideal as I would want them to be. And also people that hold me accountable and help nourish my spirit.
I understand. One thing I find is these are people I can really kind of, they know me for a while, or they have seen parts of me that, you know, I've been vulnerable, and they were able to strengthen me, or they were able to have an understanding that I could appreciate, and I felt comfortable being vulnerable with them. So that is one aspect that I see with a spirit circle. Sister Ife, can you share a little bit about what you envision when you hear that term?
When I hear a spiritual circle, I think about being grouped or linked to someone, or even a group of people where I am unfiltered. I am me. There's no mask. It's just I can be myself, and they're willing to accept or take me, support me for just being me. And then both positive and negative, positive and negative parts of each other. And we can just kind of, support each other, no matter what it is.
Do you have to have common interests and kind of common thought, or can you kind of be opposites? You know, what they say, a Virgo and a Taurus, or an Aquarius and a Taurus, or those different factions that really have kind of tension surrounding. Can you find a way to that person be in your spirit circle, that you all have a spiritual connection, Ife?
Yes, I think having that common interest is important, because if you're not headed in the same direction I'm headed to, then I may not need to be in that same circle, you know. So it's having a focus on where you're headed, or where that group is headed. It has to be in the same direction, I believe.
Sister Chi, same thing. Do you believe that you have to have basically the common thought, same kind of values to have a spiritual connection?
Yes and no. I've been surprised by people that I didn't necessarily have the same values with, but they opened my mind and enlightened me to other values that I have used in my daily life and I found to be very helpful. I like having people that think a little bit differently than me, but are also in a positive mindset. For instance, I've been told that I need to meditate. And I never thought that I needed to meditate, but then I tried meditating once. I'm like, okay, you know what? This works for me. This is bringing me peace. But it's not something I would have just applied on my own if someone didn't mention it to me and the benefits of meditation. So that's a great question.
And I like your answer. You said yes and no. And I really feel that is so true, because just like you said, you can't stereotype people. When you stereotype people, you are limiting yourself and you're limiting them. And I have found, now I'm a victim of stereotypes so many times. And, you know, it's a part of my life, but I try to go out of my way to make sure I don't do it, because I don't want that to be witnessed on anyone. But I have found that so much, you can learn different things from people you never thought you would learn something from. Johna, Renee, what do you say about that thing about, do you have to have the common interest, common theme, or can it be yes or no? Can you find differences but find value?
Absolutely. I think value can be found in a lot of different relationships. I'm a very inclusive person. I like to, and I'm very out of the box thinking, I guess is the best way to put that. And I embrace a lot of people who don't look like me, who don't sound like me, who you would never know that we were friends, and or associates or acquaintances, whatever the relationship may be. And most of my closest friends in life have not looked like me and have not had the same background as myself. And I believe that you can learn a lot from people that challenge your way of thinking and vice versa. So I would say yes and no. I would say you have to be firm in what you believe, but also open to grow as an individual. And sometimes that means challenging your way of thinking, challenging some beliefs. And you have to ask yourself sometimes, why do I believe what I believe? Sometimes it's just those traditional things that have been passed down to us because grandma did it, big mama did it, mama did it, and I don't know why I'm doing this. It's just a tradition that's been passed down to me. And then when you finally start to get to the root of why certain things are done, you can sometimes then challenge those traditions and open your mind to expand to another way of thinking. So I absolutely think yes and no, because I have experienced it within my life. So yes.
And I must say, see, I was surprised when I found out that you liked Biz Markie. I mean, I that wouldn't have been my thought. But see, now I'm an open thinker that, hey, I mean, well, if she like Biz Markie, she may understand or like this. And so forth. So it opened a whole different thing. But you know,
Brother Baruti,
yes. Yes,
I
sister.
am a mix between Tupac and somewhere in the middle. So you can find me listening to classical.
I have found that out, my sister, but at that time, I was in a way of thinking, but you expanded my mind. So that's what we're talking about. You can find out different things and it can expand your mind and you can grow in a different direction, a higher direction, and get more understanding and connection. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. I'm your host, Baruti Carl Alexander. This is our 82nd show. We've been doing this for a little while, 82 shows, and we're just gonna keep rolling. We're gonna keep going, and we're gonna get better and better. A lot of powerful and beautiful things are happening, and we feel very blessed. And I wanna talk about what are the values of a spiritual connection. What I have looked at and what I think for myself: integrity, honesty, and balance. Let's share what we think about those, or what do you think are the values of a spiritual connection? Sister Chi?
I would say accountability. I like the idea of balance for sure, and vulnerability. I think that those are three things that we all need when we're considering our circle, especially in the spiritual realm.
Okay, yes. Sister Ife, same question. I mentioned integrity, balance. I mentioned honesty. What do you feel are the values of a spiritual connection, of those people that you would like to be around or would like around you?
Definitely integrity, trust, and understanding.
Trust and understanding. I understand those things. For me, integrity, that's very important. I guess it goes with honesty at the same time. So you can kind of lump those two together. When I'm talking about balance, you know, some people, you know, they may want to support you strongly or from a distance, and they know the proper way to do it at the proper time, or you all connect in that way. So they're there when you need them, and when you need space to be left alone, they understand that too. And so it's some of those qualities that, and I guess it goes with your own personality to a certain extent, who you would gravitate to. Sister Johna Renee, integrity, honesty, balance, what do you see as spiritual connection qualities?
I definitely say integrity and honesty work hand in hand with me. I do like what our other sister said. I'm sorry if I haven't committed your name to memory yet, but vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities, I think, are a special ingredient in a lot of relationships. And sometimes you may have people who you're close to, but you can't be vulnerable with them. And you have to ask yourself why. And then there are those special relationships where you can just completely open up without feeling judged, without feeling ostracized. And I think vulnerability is extremely important, but has to be done tactfully, because what we find throughout relationships is sometimes you can be vulnerable with people, and in turn, they will use those vulnerabilities against you sometimes as a way of manipulation. And those are not the type of people you want to have in your spirit circle. But the ones who are true, real, they're going to take those vulnerabilities, understand your vulnerabilities. And even if they don't understand it from your perspective, but be in a position to pray you through those vulnerabilities, be in a position to help you get to the other side of those vulnerabilities, whatever it is that you're dealing with. But those are the key components that I think are important. And then you touched on something too. You also have to understand your personality along with someone else's personality. I consider myself a ambivert. I'm an introvert with extroverted tendencies. When people first meet me, they think that I'm an extrovert and I'm outgoing and, oh yeah, she's the life of the party. It only takes them a little bit of getting or staying around me to realize, oh, I really thought you were this person. No, when you first meet me, I'm kind of extroverted, but I am really an introvert. I like my me time. I like my alone time. I like to read a book. I like to be to myself, but I also like to do activities and go places. But I
So
think
you invented a new word, huh?
no, ambivert is a real word.
Oh, okay. All right.
That is a real word. It is a mix between an introvert and an extrovert.
That vulnerability thing, that is so special, but it's also the thing that is scary. It's very scary because you might think you have a connection where you can reveal some information, but you only find out that this person maybe shouldn't have been in your circle after something happens. So that's why I would say that our spirit circles are not maybe on two hands, in my opinion. Now, I try to build mine every day. I try to build mine and find a way to reconcile with those who I've had some problem with. I try to find a way to do that if I feel it's doable. And you got to discern where you can spend your energy and be productive. So that vulnerability is so important. And let me go into this about reconciliation and forgiveness. How far do we go to try to find reconciliation with someone? What is the limit? When do we say, no, I'm not even going to try that? Or when do we say, I'd like to try that? Go ahead, Johna Renee.
You know, that's a good question. I'm a very forgiving person, and I think it's a strength, but also a weakness of mine. I think the extent to where one should go is the extent to where it impacts yourself in terms of the relationship. If I feel like this is becoming toxic and it's unhealthy and there's blatant disrespect, that's where I draw the line for me. Because if there is a relationship that I see myself being vulnerable in, and that vulnerability is taken for granted, then I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to want to withdraw from that because it's apparent that there's a lack of value in me sharing of myself with you. And so because of that, I would withdraw from that type of relationship. But
I really like that answer.
Once it starts becoming toxic and disrespectful, blatantly disrespectful, that's where I draw the line.
I really understand that. Chi, what do you feel about that?
I have to second everything that she said. I'm right on board with that. Toxic energy is not something I want to keep in my life. The only time I would go to an extreme to reconcile with someone is if I realized I was in the wrong and maybe there was something that I did and I really value their friendship. Or if they were wrong, but I still value their friendship, maybe they're going through a low time in their life and I have forgiven them and want to move forward and maybe start over. But it all depends on what they're bringing to my life. Are they bringing value? Are they a missing piece now? Since their absence, have I missed them? Were they providing something that gave me joy or that uplifted me, only to find that, okay, well, now without them, there's kind of like a hole that I feel in my spirit. I think that's what will determine whether or not I reconcile. But if it was, as Johna stated, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but okay, if it was toxic or something that let me made me feel defeated, or reciprocity. If I was always giving into this friendship or this relationship and not receiving anything back in return, then that's something I wouldn't want to explore or have to deal with again. So I would just let it go. So I only would want to reconcile if I feel like it would be mutually beneficial for us both, if that makes sense.
Yes, very much so. A lot of good information. Sister Ife, I know you got a lot on this subject. This is the host of Sister Earth Waters of Howling at the Earth with the acronym HATE. That's a whole subject in and of itself. Sister Ife, I know you have a lot. How far do you go to reconcile with somebody? Do you agree with the sisters?
Yes, Sister Johna, I hope I said it right. I find myself being very forgiving. And sometimes being forgiven has, being that forgiving one has turned around and kind of bit me, you know, but anytime that any type of relationship is draining me, my energy, you know, my spirit, my peace, I remove myself as well. However, I think forgiveness is not just for, you know, to make things better on the other person's behalf, but forgiveness is real personal. It's for you. So I can forgive you, but still don't have to really deal with you, you know, so, and keep it moving. But there still wouldn't be that negative energy or me holding anything against you or whatever. It's just that I have forgiven you enough so that I'm able to move on. So that's how I look at it.
Totally understand. Is there a time limit in reconciliation and forgiveness? What do you feel? Is there a time limit? If you haven't done it by a certain time, then you just don't think about it no more, you move on? Is there a time limit?
It depends on the value of, you know, or the relationship you and that other person have. If it's not worth it, hey, you know, it may not be, you know, the time may not matter, but for someone that I do value, care about, I think I have like a 7-day rule for that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sister Chi, time limit?
No, it depends. I mean, if it's been over a year, I mean, does it really matter at this point? I don't know. I don't really put a time limit on things. We'll just see how it goes. But it also depends on the severity of whatever issue it was. If you were blatantly disrespectful for very, very many years, and I just don't, I'm not even sure where I was going with that, to be honest. I don't really put a time limit on it. To me, it just depends on where we're at and where we're headed. Sometimes some things are just not worth resurfacing, and certain times it may be, you know, worth addressing, especially I think with family members. I mean, family is family is family is family, right? So it can be 5 years, and if we're still holding on to something, there's still some animosity there. I still think it's worth trying to rekindle things, just depending upon the situation, just because it's family, but it just depends on what it was that happened. So I don't know.
It definitely depends on what it was. I just want to interject this. Sometimes time can give illumination. Time can, I go in my own situation. I had a situation that was a severe conflict, and over time, I think the people came to understand my position, and it changed the whole aura of the circumstances of relationship, where now we haven't got to the place of reconciliation yet, but I can see the possibility that maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, if a situation or event occurs, well, that it can come to a place of reconciliation. And it depends upon a lot of factors, but I see that possibility. So I think time can give illumination, and it can bring about a reconciliation of understanding. How do you feel about that, John?
I think that's a good question. I think you have to be first reconciled with yourself. I think that I'm just not a big proponent of bad energy at all. I have stayed in that place in my life for a long time, and I've learned to just kind of lean into things and let them go. But I really think it depends on the dynamics of the relationship. Family is family is family, is what my lovely sister said, which is true. And I always think there's time to rekindle and reconcile relationships with family. But I also understand that you can't continue to treat people the way you knew them, the way that the dynamics of the relationship that you had, because people change. And if you're not open to believe and be open to people changing, then you will always have a grievance and bitterness in yourself for something that was done years and years ago. And sometimes people don't even know that they've offended you. And it goes back to this saying, you have to learn how to accept apology that was never given to you. And that's what I mean, being reconciled with yourself first, and then forgiving the other person, whether or not they come back to the table and apologize. And I don't know, for me, one of the most pivotal stories that I've heard in my life about reconciliation, and I don't know if you all know about it, but it's the story of Joyce Myers and the relationship that she had with her abusive father who sexually abused her. And what God did in that relationship, where he was very opposed to really kind of having a relationship with her. Well, and she pretty much, when he was getting older and pretty much on his deathbed and losing his health, went to go serve him. And it wasn't until right before he died that he actually accepted God and asked her for forgiveness, but she didn't have to do that. And I say that to say that it really just depends on the relationship. It depends on your heart.
She may have done it for herself also. I mean, that's a bit of what you talked about. She needed to do that for herself, whether he was open or not, as long as he let her in the door. I can see that. I don't know the story, but from what I'm hearing, that's what I kind of see.
It's a phenomenal story. And I've actually been in a situation, not quite like that, but even with my father, but in a different relationship where I've said, you know what, as long as I know that I've done all that I can, I've exhausted all of my resources and energy and love that I can pour out into this. As long as I know within myself I've done that, I can leave and walk away with this with a clear conscience, being reconciled with myself that I've tried everything to make this relationship work. And once I've done that, it goes back. If it becomes toxic, because then I'm subjecting myself to that negative energy that I don't want anyway.
Very much so. So we talked about vulnerability. We talked about moving away from toxic relationships. We talked about forgiveness. All these things are very important in spiritual connection, binding or finding that spiritual circle. My life is striving for that. I don't think I would have gotten to this point, certainly, without that little spark that I have. I do have that vulnerability also. I'm like my mother. My mother cries at a very funny movie. She cries, and then if so, of course, something sad, she cries for that also. My mother is still with us, 92. I am her baby boy still. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. I'm your host, Baruti Carl Alexander. I thank everybody for joining us, those on Facebook and those who will be seeing the broadcast after we are completed and it is uploaded to YouTube and our other channels. This is the Sourceseeker Hour, our 80-second show. We are very much appreciative for everybody who has been following us all along. We're talking about building a spiritual circle. I asked in the beginning what a spiritual circle is. I talk a lot about circles. A family is a small circle. And then when you go to your extended family, you go to church, you are increasing the size of your circle. And if circles can come together in cooperation, you can form a larger circle. What if 12 people who had very powerful spiritual connection came together? They could change the world. As I say, this is Sourceseeker Hour. Sister Ife, would you share a little bit about what was your background, what you wanted to bring forth on Howling at the Earth? What was the background behind that name? What was the background behind bringing that Howling at the Earth story to an audience?
Okay, so Howling at the Earth it's a personal platform that I put together to be able to learn to communicate and speak. I am a sufferer with anxiety. So it was a way to challenge myself to kind of branch off and do something that I've never done. So it's like kind of being real brave at this point with building relationships and just doing the things that I never thought I could do. So I started this whole Howling at the Earth, this hate movement that it kind of surfaces around mental health and trauma, relationships, because I believe all those things go hand in hand. So the hate movement is to encourage those that do, have those challenges to kind of be comfortable with speaking out on certain topics. And it kind of surfaces over six areas, parenting, business, sex, love, family, mental health. And I may be missing one, but those topics are the main topics that I do speak about. So it's personal, but it's I saw a saying that oh my goodness, I gotta pull it up. I wish I had it, but it's like if you doing the things you never thought you would be doing or something like that. I'll get it. But when I saw that, it really touched home for me because I never thought that I would be able to speak. When I say a true introvert, I am a true introvert. So dealing with people has always been a challenge for me, but just being courageous and just like saying, hey, believing in myself, because there was a point, and that's why the hate acronym is so powerful as well, because it was so many things growing up that I disliked about myself, and this is just like this is a true challenge. Like I am thrilled. And I want to say thank you, brother, for believing when I wanted to give up on it, but just being connected, that spiritual circle is so necessary when it comes to the things that, you need help with, and giving that encouragement or the support or just saying, hey, you can do it, it's important. So that's where the hate movement, derived from. And I'm on Instagram. I've Howling at the Earth, doing blogs with that. So don't forget, guys, to check me out, howl at me.
and let me say something, sister.
Yes.
I've always had this spirit and this fire inside, but I was so afraid to bring it out.
Yes.
I was shy. I was, believe it or not, Johna Renee, I was shy. I remember trying to do a poem in college, and I stuttered every word because just the fear, and you can't even outline where the fear is coming from. But as you're younger, you certainly got all of these beliefs and different things and so forth. But as you get older, and then when I first started the Sourceseeker Hour 82 episodes ago, I still had elements of that, but I was determined to try to bring out that which is inside of me. that is the genesis of this, because I was holding all of it in, and I still haven't brought it out. And that is where the striving for the growth of my spirit still comes from, because I have so much more. And we all have different challenges and things every day, but we still got to keep on going. And the spirit circle is a part of the connection that I believe can help us grow, help me grow. And that's why I'm a proponent of it, trying to build within myself and also help others develop a strategy that can help them. Sister Chi, you are involved in matchmaking, putting two people together. I'm sure that's harder in this day and age, but at the same time, with all of the COVID, and then people are more afraid of just going out and meeting each other, so they may want to go to online dating a lot more. We've talked about that on the show also. So what do you see as the road of people finding ways to become closer?
So I like to have a TMI approach where it doesn't exist with my clients. I want them to come to me as they are. Being a matchmaker in this day and age does have its challenges, but I like to remind people to dig deeper and also make sure that they're healed from past relationships before being ready to enter a new one, right? So just reminding them that even though we're in a really challenging state right now, especially with the pandemic, it is okay to look for love, to seek love, to want love, right? But just having them keep an open mind and an open heart.
But it's so scary out here
Terrifying.
trying to find somebody. It's so scary.
But you know, my thing is though, you can't give up on something that you truly want and value for yourself. I hear it all the time, and people are just like, oh, I'm scared, I'm terrified. But if the end goal is for you to have someone that you can share your life with, then you can't live in fear, right? We're all going to die someday. That is the honest truth. So why not spend the time that you have on earth going for everything you want out of life? And if love is one of those things, you have to get out of your head and step into your heart. And that's why I tell everyone.
But what if they're somewhat cynical like me, that, hey, I'm a different sort of guy, my thinking, I'm out of the super box. Johna Renee mentioned out of the box. I'm out of the super box. So it's hard finding somebody that can accept that, work with that, so forth, so on. What's the hope for guys like me? And there are other guys, well, nobody's just like me. Not gonna happen. But there's others that have, issues.
Yeah, but that's okay, right? It's just be yourself. I don't guarantee you that I'm going to find you the perfect person. What I can guarantee you is I'm going to do my very best to try. It is not just your journey, it's our journey. But I can't say, oh, I know the perfect person for you. I don't, but I'm going to try to find that person based on the things that you've shared with me. It's okay to be different, right? Like that is okay to be unique, but there's 7.8 billion people in this world. To think that there is not one other person in this world of billions that won't accept you for who you are and love you and meet you where you're at, that's insane. So you have to have hope, and you have to start somewhere, regardless of how quirky
so you believe that there's somebody for everybody. You believe that?
I do, but I don't believe that everyone has that tenacity to continue to search for it.
Oh, you hit on a point right there, because there might be somebody for everybody, but maybe the one you are seeking is on the cross on the other side of the world and in a different country. Y'all might never get a chance to meet.
That could also be a possibility. However, there could be someone, there's 49 other states apart from the one state that you're in. So they don't have to be globally somewhere else. They could be in a different state. So again, expanding your mind and not thinking within your
But wherever you go, you're going to take yourself with you. So,
well, yeah.
So if you are in a pool of 4 million and you can't find anybody, don't you believe, well, it's going to be the same everywhere else to a certain extent?
No, but that's the thing. Are you truly looking to find someone? Like, you can be in that pool but not be swimming. You know what I mean?
And when you say looking to find someone, are you saying that you have to go out there and go to the clubs, get sharp, and all of those things that you may not like to do, or use a myriad of ways? Dating site, grocery store, library. What are some of the ways that you would say that people should expand themselves?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be the club. Go to places that you like and stay open-minded. You may meet someone that could be the love of your life at the gym or at the grocery store or at the library. You don't know, but always stay open-minded. You know, you never know where love is going to find you, but don't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. You have to step out of your comfort zone sometimes. Maybe join a singles meetup group, hire a matchmaker, or at least you don't have to hire a matchmaker. You can do a consultation with the matchmaker to find out more about what the process is like and say, you know what, this isn't for me. Or, you know what, do you have a trial? I want to test it out, whatever the case may be. But if you're going to like limit yourself by staying in the confines, going to the same places, talking to the same people, you're never really giving yourself a chance, right?
I understand. So get out and mingle and travel and see the world and let people know you're here.
Like-minded individuals, whatever you enjoy doing, dive into that, and hopefully you'll meet that person. But don't get so stuck in where you're at and what you're doing and what it's been. You have to try something different. We're given one life on this earth. That's it. So just try something.
And for those listening on Facebook, and we'll see the video, can you share what you do, where you are as a matchmaker, what service you provide? If they want to use your service, let the people know.
Sure. So my name is Chi. I'm a certified matchmaker and dating specialist. If you want to connect with me, you can meet me on Instagram. I'm also available. I have people DM me all the time, thanks to Clubhouse. I don't know if you're familiar with Clubhouse, but it's a whole new platform where you literally market just using your voice. But my Instagram is NYA Love by Chi, and that's BYCHI. My website is www.nyaloveanddating.com. I do predominantly work with marriage-minded monogamous individuals that are primarily African American and of the African community. However, I do not discriminate. I just want to have that disclosure so you know. I work with singles nationwide, not globally yet, but nationwide. So the more open you are, the more easier it'll be to assist you. And just come with an open mind and heart. But I'll be more than happy to assist anyone that wants more information.
Beautiful, powerful. We certainly need more ways to find love. More love in the world, we'll have a better way of getting along with each other, and it will be beautiful. Sister Johna Renee, share with the audience your final statement as well as how they can reach you. And then what did you think about this conversation on building a spiritual circle?
I think this conversation is important and it's needed. I think that many of us should do more inventory of the relationships that we have and the value of those relationships in our lives, because many of us, my generation calls them day ones. Many of us have people who have been in our lives, but are you growing? And I think that is a question that you have to ask yourself, because either you're going to change the environment or your environment is going to change you. And so if you're not getting to a place where you're continuously growing and you're continuously being edified and edifying others, then I think you need to stop, sit back, and really look at the value of those relationships. So I think having these conversations are truly important. And one of the things that I thought about as you were speaking, Baruti, earlier in this conversation, you had made mention of having to reconcile a relationship or a relationship going sour. And I think about it. Even Jesus had 12 disciples and one of them turned on him. But even that one person served a very important role and purpose in the destiny for Jesus. And everybody is not a Christian. Everybody doesn't believe in Jesus, but the principle is the same. The principle is the same. Understanding that there's a purpose behind the relationships that you have, whether they continue to go on the up and upright direction, or if they become stagnant, there is a reason and a purpose for it, but you don't have to stay in that place. So I think having these conversations are critically important. And so I can be reached. I'm actually in the middle of rebranding, so I don't have a lot of social media platforms where I can be reached, but I can always be reached on my speaking platform. Well, it's my email, which is jhealspeaks@gmail.com. Again, that's jhealspeaks@gmail.com. And trust and believe, I will be having some more platforms where I can be reached coming very soon.
Peace and power, my sister. Very powerful. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I was waiting on it. Yes. Sister Ife, give us, what do you feel about the conversation of a spiritual circle? And talk to people about if they want to check out your show and hear what you are speaking about. Hey, tell us how we can do that.
I'm on YouTube. I have a couple of shows on YouTube. I do a lot of work on the blogging site, which is howlingattheearth.com. I have Instagram under Ife Mensa. Again, this was my first time joining you on this platform, and this
It was
topic
powerful.
Yes, this topic is very necessary. I learned a lot from the two ladies that spoke, but it also opened me up to what a spiritual circle is, and being open to be a part of one as well, because being an introvert, you kind of block out having those relationships. You kind of shelter yourself. You want to be alone all the time. But you do have those moments where you want to be connected to someone, and having someone that, or, a group of people that you can be linked to, and kind of, having that support, the accountability, that relationship to say, hey, I depend on you for something as well as you depend on me for something. And then being able to grow with them, like the young lady said, being able to grow with these people is the most important part. So this topic was well needed, because it helped me, and having this information, I can relay it and help someone else.
And once a month, at the beginning of the month, everyone, we have some topic dealing with connection, mental health, trying to find balance in our lives, whether through a physical, mind, body, spirit. Once a month at the beginning of the month on the Sourceseeker Hour, we dedicate that hour to trying to have a self-growth, trying to find a way. We have doctors and different therapists and professionals come on that particular show. We've talked about eating healthy. We've talked about dieting. We've talked about nutrition. We talked about Dr. Sebi. We've talked about many different aspects. Once a month, beginning of the month, keep watching the Sourceseeker Hour, where we have our Brighter Light episode, the first of the month, which Brighter Light is light for life, experience. That is part of the acronym. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. I'm your host, Baruti Carl-Alexander. We are at the end of our 82nd episode. We've had powerful, beautiful guests with a lot of information, and we are going to get ready to close. And I'm going to ask the ladies, do you have a final statement? Sister Chi, did you want to make a final statement to share with our audience and share something with them that you would like to share?
Yeah, well, I just want to say congratulations, Johna, being a newlywed. That is so exciting. I'm so happy for you. I love weddings. I love to see it. And also for anyone listening, don't forget to take care of yourself. At least practice self-care, do something for you at least once a week. And however that looks like to you is however that looks like to you, but just make sure that you are not forgetting about yourself. I know there's a lot of crazy things going on in this world. We are being exposed to the George Floyd trial that's happening. Is triggering very many people. It's a lot. It's really heavy. It's a heavy time for us, but focus on whatever it is that you need to do to have as much love and happiness as possible. So that's all I have to say. And also thank you, Sister Ife, for being here as well, for blessing us. It was a pleasure to meet you both. I really appreciate this experience. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And we are at the end, and we're going to say goodbye and thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, those on Facebook and those who will see the video coming up. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Everybody, thank you very much. Take care.